Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Johnny Maloney and Austin Yorsky. I have things I could talk about, but I just know that deep down in the soul of Austin Yorsky, he really, really wants to tell us all about something. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to, defer to the Yorsky and let him...
Leon, before we begin, how do you know that Austin really wants to talk about something?
He tweeted me about it. He said, "I can't wait to tell me about this thing. I don't want to give away. I want him to be able to introduce it."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh," and he never goes into the Word Funk Skype chat except right before the show, like most of us do.
I don't think listeners appreciate exactly how much by the seat of our pants bullshit this show is.
Yeah, but he seems like he is prepared, not only himself, but he's trying to prepare us for this.
I know. It's super, I'm kind of excited, actually, because I'm not sure I've ever seen Austin so stoked about something that he felt the need to, brace us twice.
Yeah, not since Neo Yokio has Austin been this, incandescently excited.
And that was worth
he's just glowing and... So Austin, we should just stop talking about what you want to talk about and have you talk about the thing you want to talk about.
Lead me in, boy.
Okay, so it actually is a good transition from Neo Yokio. It shares a lot, which is I watched a new anime. It's all anyone's talking about on my feed, at least. Maybe we follow different people, but it's the toast of the town. We
definitely do.
Okay. I would be watching it right now if I wasn't trying to work my way through Bob's Burgers, which I will talk about later. Continue.
Very similar to the thing I watched. But no, seriously, there is a new Netflix original anime. You may have heard of it. It is called Devilman, all one word. So just go back to the beginning on this because Devilman is a very famous story.
It's not just called Devilman.
No, the Netflix version is called Devilman Crybaby, specifically.
That sounds so much better.
It's a pretty straight adaptation of the original manga, which was written in the 70s by someone named Go Nagai, who's also famous for doing Mazinger, which is arguably the first ever mech show, like people inside of robots in their tummies driving them around, that kind of thing.
And this Devilman Crybaby is not the first time that somebody has had an animated run at Devilman either.
Oh, no, there's tons. In fact, in Devilman Crybaby, they watched Devilman, the TV show, and there are multiple OVAs and crossovers. The story's been retold in manga form, at least 3 times. It's a huge deal. It's arguably not as big a deal as Mazinger, which is the guy's other huge thing, which I think I read somewhere that kind of frustrated him because he worked much harder on Devilman, but it kind of got overshadowed by his kids' robot cartoon. Okay. He also worked in some other stuff, too. I can't remember the name of it. But he did some I can't remember the Japanese name of it, but basically softcore porn kind of stuff, sexy ladies, but not banging. There's a name for that genre.
Itchy?
I'm sorry, Leon, were you trying to speak up?
I think it was something called Etchy or Itchy or something like that.
Yeah, Itchy and Scratchy, that's it.
I think it's E. I'm bad at anime. I'm so bad at anime. I think it starts with an E and then it's etchy or it's someone in the comments correct me on my bad anime.
Yeah, I mean they will. I got put on blast last week for suggesting that oranges were named after the color instead of the other way around. Saying something else too. Oh, that I didn't think weird dildos existed. I do know Bad Dragon is a thing. Anyway, but it's not. Austin's going to get put on blast no matter what he says, so you might as well just go ahead. Devilman. Okay. It's a very old story. I put the one of the most famous, kind of the meme from it.
Now,
in the chat.
When you say it's a very old story, are we talking about the content of the story? Boy meets girl, girl turns out to be vending machine, boy gets heartbroken, boy meets other girl turns out to be exercise bicycle.
Is it a tale as old as time? Is it a song as old as rhyme?
It's old in both the sense that it's 50 years ago that it was written, and also it is kind of old in the basic thing of it, which is like teenage boy feels kind of inferior, and then he gets powers which make him feel stronger, right? It's like it's almost like Spider-Man, where it's like kind of a puberty metaphor because he's like scrawny and the girls don't notice him, but then he gets the Devilman powers and his body changes. Now he's stronger and faster, and girls look at him and stuff, and it actually works as that too, but more directly it's
and he gets horns where there never were horns before.
All kinds of hair. It's also
I was talking about erections, Austin.
Oh, dang.
Wait. I'm confused about something.
Okay.
Is Devilman a Crybaby, or are Devilman and Crybaby two different characters?
Okay, I will explain.
Thank you.
The main character's name's Akira, or it probably should be pronounced Akira, but Akira is how I'm going to say it with my American mouth.
No, you're so bad.
Yeah, he gets possessed by a demon, and then he basically becomes a Jekyll and Hyde kind of character, Bruce Banner, Incredible Hulk. He is a normal teenager, and he is the Devilman.
So, but not like a nice demon, right? Because not all demons, Austin.
The demon's characterization actually changes depending on the adaptation. Sometimes he basically doesn't have a character; he's just the superpowers, and sometimes he actually is a fully fleshed out character. The demon that possesses him, whose name is Amon, Amon. So yeah, there's a lot of different versions of this. Crybaby, which yes does refer to the main character because he cries a lot. That's like one of his defining like character traits is that he's always crying. He's very sensitive. We're gonna get there eventually, but I relate to this story a lot. It speaks to.
Wait, were you possessed by the devil?
Yes.
Do you have powers?
Yes, I mean that's what guys. That's what puberty is. You get possessed by the sex devil.
Look, my puberty was very uneventful.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know if I definitely relate to crying.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a million places to start, because even though this is an adaptation of a 70s comic, which looks like basically you could do it if you were a high schooler of, like, medium talent. If you've seen the original, I put this comic in the chat for you guys to see.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's like a famous scene where the guy with the black hair is the main character, Akira, and the guy with the white hair is his it's like a subtextual love interest, is another male coded character. It's much more complicated than that. Sexuality is very fluid in Devilman, not just idiomatically, but also there are a lot of fluids involved. Anyway, Akira says to the love interest guy, "You smoke?" And the other guy takes a drag and says, "Oh, it's laced with drugs." And that's
what kind?
That sets the tone very nicely.
Kind, Leon.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this thing, the thing you probably heard about it, like before I knew anything about it, like the first thing I heard was like it's set in the same universe as Violence Jack, which is the sequel series, which is notorious for basically being a comic series of nothing but sexual assault and cannibalism and necrophilia, like the darkest shit possible. Like someone's trying to be so edgy, and Devilman is the precursor to that. And I was like, oh, so it's a try-hard, dark, bloody thing.
Boy, it was a good thing we got that really super edgy stuff out of our systems back in like the 1970s and 80s. Am I right, fellas?
And it never came back. Well, that's part of the thing, right? Is that it looks like it's written by the guy who made Mazinger, which is like a kid's robot punches robot show. And the art is kind of like amateurish, at least back then. Obviously, it's been 50 years. He's better now. But the level of gore and sexuality is extreme. And I thought when I heard Netflix was making a Devilman show, I was like, oh, they're going to do like, a modern 2018 take. They're going to like sand off all the edges. They're going to make it palatable to not only a modern audience, but an American audience. That should be interesting. That's not what they did. Devilman Crybaby is fucking faithful and hardcore. In the first episode, they're just... It's like, you guys remember that era of anime in like the 80s when it was all just tentacles and intestines and just
giant gouts of blood just spurting off people 7 foot high?
Mm-hmm.
Austin, yeah. I need you to know that the answer is always no.
Okay.
But like the first anime like I actually cared about, I think it definitely wasn't 80. I think it was either late 90s or early 2000s.
Okay, but you're aware by reputation that there was an era of things like Ninja Scroll and the one with all the tentacles.
I've seen Akira.
Yeah. But, like, Akira is,
was
like...
a gooey movie.
Yeah, it's... Okay, take the gooiness of Akira plus all of the, like, tentacle stuff you hear about from reputations. Like, the first episode of Devilman does not...
about.
Yeah, they do not pussyfoot. Like, the first episode, there is a tentacle monster and there is a vagina monster on screen, and they mutilate people. And you like, they do not turn the camera away. It's like, they go for it in a way that I was extremely impressed by. Basically, the show is like 10 episodes of them doing stuff and me sitting and watching going, they're not going to follow through. There's no way they're going to do this. They're not going to go through with this. And then they just fucking do. Every single time. I don't know why I didn't eventually stop calling their bluff. But in my mind, until the very last scene, I swear to God, I remember the moment when I realized it was over. Because I still had in my brain, they're not going to go through with this. And they do. Every single time you think they won't, they do it. And it is the original story. There are changes with like technology because like social media exists. People have cell phones. But mostly it's the same story. They don't actually change all that much. It's also very gay. There are, I mean, not just gay characters and gay subtext, but like gay sex scenes. Like you see everything but the genitals. Like they do not.
Well. Why even bother?
For the purposes of this discussion, does a butthole count as genitals?
Wow.
Do you want me to answer that question?
Yes,
not,
I
do. There's a lot of genital symbolism. There's never just a sexual orifice or sexual organ. It's like a monster that's shaped like that.
Of course. I've looked at Persona from a distance.
Some of the you joke, but some of the Megami Tensei demons that are in Persona are clearly Devilman references.
I wasn't really joking though, Austin.
Yeah.
I mean, the joke was that I've seen it from a distance, but that's kind of true.
Yeah, the Devilman has influenced a ton of stuff. It kind of deserves it. It's a really fucking audacious story that I think really it hit home for me in a way that like anime about teenagers doesn't in like high school, because like in most anime, and I've seen a pretty good amount, like I don't know if I'm a buff, but definitely more than anyone on this call, no one's doing drugs, no one's having sex, no one's breaking the law, no one's failing any classes. It's just like the most whitewashed, boring middle class ass shit. And in Devilman, the people are all the high schoolers are fucking. They're all doing drugs. They're all poor. There's a lot of talk about poverty in Devilman. There's a group of rapping Japanese youths who I don't think were in the original comic, and they're delightful. And they all die gruesomely. It's just it's both real and hyper real, and I really adored it. I can't really recommend it in the same way I wouldn't recommend porn. I wouldn't be like, Johnny, I just saw the hottest video. you have to see this porn. Like it's a weird thing to recommend because it is just like pure id, and it's intentionally so, right? Like there's scenes where the camera like gets so far up a girl where you're like, they're gonna lose that camera. Like there's like someone get gloves and hold on to that thing, they're gonna lose it. But it's weird. It reminds me, we talk about Bayonetta, where it's like, there's fan service, but for some reason I don't find this gross or creepy. It feels like more earnest, or like somewhere along the line, and I know this is true of Bayonetta, like women worked on it. I don't know if in the case of Devilman Crybaby how true that is. I assume it's true. But there's something about it where it just feels more honest. It's like people are horny not because like the idea of horny people is funny, which is what most anime do, or it's like, haha, he grabbed her boobs, or he tripped and fell in her crotch, lol. Like Devilman's like, it's horny because teenagers are horny, and it's not funny.
People are horny.
But it's not funny. It's terrifying because they don't have any control. Okay. It feels like they're like the real feeling of being like, what is my body doing? Like it's okay. Here's the genre of this show. It is psychosexual religious body horror. and that is so supremely my shit.
Weirdly enough, that was the name of my barbershop quartet in high school.
So, Austin.
Yeah.
Are there buttholes or not?
Symbolic buttholes.
Okay. Well, all right.
Yeah.
It'll have to do.
It will.
I mean, I guess.
Listen, if you're looking for nudity,
I'm not. I'm definitely not.
I'm saying straight up. At one point I was watching this on Netflix in my room. I locked the door because if anybody came in, I didn't want them to think I was watching porn.
Austin, I'm looking for allegorical nudity.
Mm-hmm.
I want lots of scenes of people standing in like fresh meadows. You know?
Yeah.
Or people who emerge from like really like grimy, dark, small crevices like sewers and things like that. And then I don't know.
Very specific fetish.
Look real guilty about anything they may have done in said dark crevice.
Okay. Well, I have
Just
a show
cover
for you.
the gamut.
I'll send you a link. I found one video that matches your criteria, Johnny.
Excellent.
It's on the dark web. So yeah, I could talk more about this show. It is kind of weird to basically just be talking to myself, so we'll probably move on in a second. But I just want to throw a couple things out there, which is, it's a really condensed version of the story. It's like 10 episodes, each like half an hour long, so they rip through it.
So it's not just like a first season. Is this a mini series?
It's the whole manga. They just did it.
That doesn't mean that they're not going to do more, though. It might be original programming.
It's hard to talk about without spoilers. If they make more Devilman, I will watch it. It would be weird, though, considering where the series ends.
Yeah, you don't have to sprinkle any dehydrated spoilers on me.
I think Netflix, it would be cool if they made more. What they would probably do is adapt one of the other versions, because there's a bunch of other ones. There's like Lady Devilman, what if Devilman was a woman or something? And
Lady Devilman? There's a slightly more efficient way of saying that.
Yeah, that's not what they went with. That's
right.
The real thing. There's other versions. There's other things they could work with. I don't know if they would do more. That would be weird. But the series, like I said, it's like the high school stuff, and then it goes further, and there is, they really weave the social media stuff into some of the existing themes in a really interesting way. I can't say too much about where it goes, because it takes a really hard turn at one point into a different thing entirely. And here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Maybe brush up on your Bible before you go into this, fool, because...
Austin, I've been doing nothing but for that.
Okay.
And I have been avoiding doing that entirely.
I wish I could somehow edit it so that Leon could just watch the Bible parts, but there would be like 8 seconds of like blurry tits, and that would be all that would be left.
Okay. I might watch this, but I'm going to be super busy for the next week and a half. But maybe not next episode of Word Funk, but the one after that, I will have thoughts. So we'll see.
It's extremely like its popularity is like obvious, like the way it's influenced a lot of things, and it's also like it's foundational in manga and stuff. But I'm really surprised and pleasantly so that it seems to have a huge LGBT. I fucked up the acronym, like queer fandom. And just women in general. Like I dated a girl whose favorite manga was Devilman. That's how I like got into it. And let's put aside what that says about you, considering what goes on in it. Maybe, I don't know, red flags, particular flags, we'll say. But like, if you go like read, like even video game websites, I think Kotaku and Polygon both did write-ups of the show. Those are video game websites, and they put like women writers on it who were like, I love this show. I just want to share how much I love it. And it's just like, it speaks to things in the show which feel like raw and real in the way that not just anime. I don't think many TV shows get out. Like there's just acknowledging that like being a teenage girl is a really fraught minefield of stuff, and you have all these feelings, and all the boys are growing up around you, and body stuff, like body horror, but also like real body stuff. Both things. I don't know. I just don't think anyone else really does much like that. I really like this show. There's just a lot of gore sex, but it's the thing. Gosh, I wish I could sell it better than that, but I can't.
I was gonna say thank you, Austin, for this vague, non-committal appraisal, non-recommendation, compliment lauding, almost suggestion.
I mean, there's Japanese rap. What else do you need?
There you go. Consider the deal sealed.
But yeah, I'm looking at a recorder. We're 20 minutes in, so I will cede the floor now. But Devilman Crybaby on Netflix. If you already have a Netflix subscription, all you have to lose is the respect of your family if they see you're watching it. So
I live alone now, so
then watch it.
Okay. The most interesting thing that's happened to me in the last week, I guess, was that I went to MAGFest. I'm not sure I have any like really cool stories though. I mostly just, spent some time with my friends, because I'm fond of them, and that's it. We didn't get into like any wild and zany adventures or anything like a couple of my friends and I went and saw The Disaster Artist, even though I've already seen it. They hadn't, and I was like, anything to get out, and spend time with my friends. I will do that. And I played. Austin might be interested in this. I played Starfinder with some people, and that was fun. We did that in front of an audience because we were on a panel, and I was asked to do that for the convention, and I said yes. And it was fun. We won. We killed all the things. We killed all the space things.
Take that, space.
I know, we rocked it. My character was a reptilian creature called a Vesk. He is a soldier, and he's also a kleptomaniac, so the entire adventure was him just dragging things behind him that he wanted to steal, and it was fun. What else? I played a video game while I was there, because they have tons of them.
Well, this always goes well.
Yeah. I played it safe and just played Mega Man 2. They had a bunch of consoles set up, and Mega Man 2 was on like a big screen thing. So I was like, I can do this. I got pretty far, even though I hadn't played it in like a million years. I remembered some of the boss order, but not all of it, and beat about 4, I guess, of the bosses before I lost my lives. And I was like, there are other people who want to play now, so I'll just see, you guys can go. And that is about it. Unfortunately, a lot of my friends who usually go to MAGFest just didn't go this year because hotels got booked really quickly, and also for other reasons they just couldn't show up. So it wasn't like a ghost town or anything, because every MAGFest is bigger than the last. But in terms of my circle of friends, there weren't too many people there, and that was bad. But there's always next year. I really wish I had like a crazy story about a thing that happened, but I'm afraid it was pretty tame on my end. I went to a party and I hated it. Which is par for the course for me. Screenwave, which is my MCN, my multi-channel network on YouTube, they protect me from badness. They invited me to a party with a bunch of other people who are on YouTube, and I was like, I can do this. This will be fine. And then I showed up, and I just hated. It's nothing against Screenwave. They threw a fine party. I just don't want to be in a room where it's loud and there's music and there's a bunch of people crowding around, and most of them I don't know. That's not for me. I went there thinking like, worst case scenario, I get a free meal, but they served the thing that I had for lunch, so that was pointless. And they only served alcohol instead of like a soft drink or just water.
There must have been like Coke.
No, not that I saw. It was just a bar. There was just a bar, and I didn't realize this as it was happening.
Yeah, but I mean, Leon, probably one of the most widespread drinks, and stop me if you haven't heard this one, is rum.
Yeah.
And Coke.
I understand. I understand that now, thinking back. But me going into a bar thinking, oh, they would obviously have drinks for me. I just see a bar with a bunch of alcohol in it. So that did not occur to me. There wasn't like a cooler with sodas. Not that I drink caffeine anymore anyway. But anyway, I went there and I was in a line to get in because they were late. And they handed me what looked like a poker chip. And in retrospect, I realized this was like my token to get a free drink. But as they were handing it to me, because I am so unaccustomed to going to parties where that is a thing, I had no idea what they were doing. So I just pretended I knew what this was. I'm like, thanks. I'm sure going to use this. Then I got in there and realized what was going on. Yeah, I super hated it. Yeah,
I don't suppose you heard what the theme of this year's orgy was, did you?
Yeah, apparently, for anyone who doesn't know, apparently there is an orgy at every MAGFest. That this may be apocryphal, although I have heard it from people who claim they have been there, or know a person who was there. I don't know if any of this is even true. Based on the demographics of going to MAGFest, it's probably 90% dudes that showed up to it, and maybe more.
Hey, that's okay. You can have an all-dude orgy.
You absolutely can, but I also feel like a lot of the people who are going to an orgy are not going there just for dudes. I could be wrong, but like statistically speaking, you would think that, I don't know.
See, you didn't. Another detail is that apparently every year each one is themed.
Yeah. I think I'd heard that, but I couldn't possibly verify that or list what they could be. I'm not in the loop with these things. No. I don't get orgy newsletters. Nobody thinks, oh, we're having an orgy. The worst possible guy to ask about this. Let's invite him. That's not a thing for me. Yeah, those kind of social events are not for me. The most fun I had was sitting down and playing the game and doing another thing with my friend Tom. And we played a card game, and it was fun. And that's the kind of thing I enjoy, where it's just me and like 4 or 5 other people I know, and we're just enjoying each other's company and not like getting shit-faced and, someone is fucking in the distance. So yeah, that's what MAGFest is for me. It's just spending time with my friends. I don't have any party stories. There have been like weird things that have happened to me at MAGFest in the past, but most of them are of a personal nature, or they aren't my stories to tell. So I guess I'll just end here. Yeah. That is it. That is the thing I did this week. I did more things, but that's the only thing of note.
Right on, brother.
The end.
Johnny, do you want to talk on the show we do?
Yeah, sure, I guess. That actually, like Leon describing that, I had a moment this week where...
Just one?
Well, this is a very particular moment. I had many moments, but okay. I'm about to relay to you one particular moment.
Okay. Good.
And that's like... Because I'm still doing the Bumble thing, Yeah. Because I didn't expect it to just like suddenly be successful, I guess, like I sort of feel like I'm the kind of person who maybe needs to hang out on the vine for a little while before somebody comes along who's interested in pollinating. But I had a moment this week because I got assaulted by a barrage of profiles that were all like, I'm just looking to have fun. And every single time I saw that word, fun, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. And I came to the realization, you guys, I don't think I'm fun.
That's fine.
I know, but it just like, I don't know. Like, and then I was like, well, what does that mean? Maybe I'm fun. No. I'm not fun. What is how do you have fun? Like, Austin, you seem like, deep down,
uh-oh,
you're fun. There's something fun about you. And I say this despite your law school.
Maybe it's just because you're young.
I feel like, Johnny, the thing where people say they're fun, what they mean is, I want you to know ahead of time, I'm not planning on taking responsibility for any actions.
Is that what it means?
It definitely seems like a kind of, because like I tell people, I have the opposite thing where I just tell people straight up, like, I'm boring. Like, if they're not into that,
okay,
that's fine.
No, because this is the thing, right? This is the thing, is that you can be boring and still be fun. Because I feel like being interesting, which means that you are not boring, does not mean that you are not fun. I know a guy, I used to work with a guy who was boring as fuck. Like, this guy was just tremendous. It was almost like how boring he was actually like a charismatic attribute. But it was like every single weekend, he was always just like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. And like, do you want to come along? And I would get exhausted being invited to these things. You know, like at Christmas time, he's like, yeah, we're going to do the Santa crawl. It's really great. I'm like, what's the Santa crawl? He's like, oh, you get dressed up as Santa, or like, you know, you put a spin on your own costume and things like that. And then like we go out to bars, and then you travel from one bar to the next, and everybody's dressed as Santa. And I was like, no, you lost me. I mean, even before Going Out came along, I was like, you have to dress up as Santa. I'm like, I would have to make something or buy something. And that's just not. But this is the thing, is that like I think I'm an interesting person. That maybe like famous last words. I think I'm an interesting person. I've had a number of interesting experiences. I'm capable of being amusing. But I do not think that I am fun. Even like when I do things that are like, oh, I'm going out to a concert because I would like to see this band. If somebody is like, oh, was that fun? I would be like, God, no. You play video games, Johnny. Aren't those fun? Not the video games I play. Have you played What Remains of Edith Finch? I cried.
Oh
but
my.
like, but you, I mean, of the three of us, I suppose I should say here, Austin, you seem to be the most fun.
I don't know about all that. In the context of dating specifically, I feel like fun is used as an antonym for homebody. I feel like if someone says in their profile, I'm fun, what they mean is I want to go out to like clubs or like, you know, drinking socially or just like go out and do stuff. And like the opposite of that is just like I like to chill, or like, yo, those are people like the same kind of people who say they're fun are like people who love to hike or whatever, right?
Yeah, but
it's the opposite.
Hiking is not fun.
No, it's terrible.
For those kind of people, it is.
I feel like people who... All right, here's what I gathered from people who say that they're fun. I just want to have fun on their dating profile. I could be totally wrong about this, but I always got the impression that meant that they're not necessarily looking for a serious relationship.
No. Sorry, this is not. They're not saying I just want to have fun. They're looking for someone who's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. You have to be fun.
I have to be fun, and that's why I looked at this thing and I was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm by no stretch of the word am I fun.
Yeah. For the couple months that I tried that dating app, I did get a handful of things that said, here's what you should be, instead of telling me about the person. Mm-hmm. Not like I look
Driven,
at the profile.
Ambitious, adventurous, fun. Must make me laugh.
It's like you're already telling me what to do. Couldn't we wait?
I do gotta say, this sounds like some very let's say bitter. I'm sorry,
but that struck me as very strange. It's okay. When I look at someone's profile, and again, like I said, I did this for a couple months and nothing occurred, so I just gave up, which is fine. When I looked down the profile, you know, I expected to see things about the person whose profile it is, not requirements for who I must be, including but not limited to my height, which was often a thing.
Like it's important to know what you're getting into and to have standards, and it's okay if you have deal breakers. I don't know.
Yeah, Leon, you have to be taller than me, but I'm not going to tell you how tall I am.
There's that, but no, I'm not talking about deal breakers. Like someone in someone's profile, they said you can't be a Trump supporter, and I'm like, cool, that's a reasonable thing for a deal breaker. But when I'm talking about like someone writes a list of what I must be in order to swipe on you, I just found that a bit much. I don't know.
That sounds that sounds like something a short person would whine about.
The thing is that the height requirement came up a lot. I'm 6 feet tall, so I always made the height requirement, so that's fine. But I always felt like, why is that important?
Did they give you a number? Because all I ever get is just the vague relative term "must be tall."
Well, because do you use feet? Because in our system, 6 is like a nice clean cutoff.
We do use feet, because we're so close to America that there are these like weird little idiosyncrasies that we pick up on, like feet and pounds.
We're infecting you.
I saw must be 6 feet taller or higher, and that it was never like you have to be 8'1" or anything like. It wasn't anything like. It was never more than 6 feet tall.
Must be this tall to ride.
Yeah, so I always made the height requirement. It's just struck me as a little odd. And that's fine.
It's incredibly common. I've said this before, but I get compliments all the time, and it's like I have no control over that. It's just a thing. I don't.
No, I understand. I know that it's common now. I just didn't realize that it was a must.
It's important to some people.
That's fine. I guess. I don't know. For some reason, I found lists of things I must be mildly off-putting.
I mean, working on the internet, Leon, I feel like you should be used to the human mind craving numbered lists above all else. There's nothing people like more than lists.
Oh, you're so right about that. My most recent episode is the top 15 best and worst movies of 2017, and like it jumped immediately above like everything else I've done lately. And it's just a stupid fucking list that I let myself do once a year. If I did these stupid fucking lists every week, I might actually have a popular YouTube channel. I would just kind of hate myself. So once a year, and then that's it.
What's funny though is hearing this perspective you guys are giving about like, oh, you're creeped out by the lists, or you think it's weird that they have like height requirements.
I'm not creeped out by it.
I'm not creeped out.
I'm exaggerating because I'm trying to get somewhere, which is I think it's really sweet that you guys have that perspective, because for most people, I think the idea of like, you talk to your friends every week on the internet, that's gross and creepy. Like, most people have, like, no fat chicks in their profile. This is not a joke. Every street sign on Fraternity Row at Florida State University, like all the street signs, have spray painted on them, #no fat chicks.
All right, well, that's super gross, and that's obviously way worse than you should be tall.
I know, I'm just saying, you have to recognize how low the bar is in dating. If someone doesn't just punch you in the face upon seeing you, like, that's a pretty good start.
The other one that I love to see is no naked gym selfies. And
that's
like on
that's
girls'
reasonable.
profiles, they write no naked gym selfies, and I'm like, is that so common? That
apparently it is, and like I I can understand writing in there. Like, I don't want it. Like, let me rephrase this: a thing in your profile that says you shouldn't be gross or disrespectful to me, or you shouldn't be so vain that this is what you immediately put out there.
You're so vain, I'll bet you think this profile's about you.
Yeah, right. That seems, I don't know why, but that seems like it's less intrusive than a list of what I must be, you know? I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. That squeaks me out just a little bit, and it shouldn't. It's not that big of a deal. It wasn't for me. I guess I could say.
So would you guys agree then that I'm not fun?
I have fun with you.
I think it depends.
That is such a second place.
I know, but here's the thing. But that's what I maybe fun is the wrong word. I am fond of you.
I'm very fond of you too, and you as well, Austin. You know, we have fun together.
Right. I enjoy. Let me, and I'll just bring this back to my experiences at the convention. I enjoyed my time with my friends, but what people like from the outside looking in wouldn't call that a fun time. Although I did have fun, people would call a fun time is a party, but I hated that. So you could say that I don't like that I'm not fun, but I did have fun, just not in the, I don't know, extravagant use of that word.
I would actually argue that Johnny is probably the most fun of us under these specific conditions, so this definition.
This is surprising.
Wow.
Defend your hypothesis, Yorsky.
I will. I think there are things you do, like for instance, making like elaborate like dinner meals. Like that's a fun event. That's like, it can be romantic. It can be kind of like a big gesture.
It's not romantic.
It could be. You could use those powers for good.
Yes, I could definitely use these powers responsibly.
That would be fun. That you could make a night of that. I think like going to a party. I think you would be most comfortable. I don't. Maybe that's relative, right, between me and Leon, who can make it maybe like 20 minutes before like running out the back crying. That's the most fun of us. I don't know if you'd love the party situation, but that's a fun thing to do. I think you could go out like drinking, which is something Leon and I fundamentally can't do. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe you wouldn't do all of the things that, let's just say, like this average person who's hypothetical would think is fun. Maybe they think going to concerts is fun. Maybe they don't. But I think you tick more fun boxes. There's more things you do that are generally considered fun, where like my idea of fun is not within this narrow definition. Like I want to like watch movies or play video games or whatever. That's homebody stuff. That's the antonym in a dating situation of a quote unquote fun person. That's my thesis.
Okay, all right. So you're saying I'm really good at faking it.
From a romantic perspective, you seem like you are the most fun.
Wow.
Like
that is a sobering thought.
Yeah, like in a very specific way, that you seem like you would meet that criteria. For example, like a few weeks ago, you mentioned that you thought to take a lady to get milkshakes. I would never think of doing that.
Leon, excuse me. I think it was not a milkshake. It was.
I'm sorry. What was it?
It was a double awful.
Okay. The fact that you even had to clarify that.
But try to fit it into this context. Imagine a woman saying to you, like, "Oh, let's go do something fun." Like for you,
oh God, no! Let's stay home.
Exactly, Johnny.
Let me stay home, and we'll both read, but not the same books, and also in opposite corners, please.
Or sometimes cuddling and reading the same book. I've done that before. That could be good.
Ew, gross.
but I'm saying, for me and Leon, leaving is not an option. But for you, you could say, "Let's go get double awfuls," and that gives you a head start. I don't know how much.
This is interesting. This doesn't quite fit in with the image that I have created of myself, because it seems to me like the most important thing that happened to me all week this week was I got acid reflux, and I was like, whoa.
Well, that's not fun, but that's not your fault.
No, it wasn't. But that was like, that was like the big thing this week, where I woke up with some stomach acid in my trachea.
Yeah,
and that was unpleasant to wake up to, but neither here nor there, and not really a subject that needs breaching. So,
cool.
Yeah, okay.
Unlike the lining of your esophagus, which was very breached.
No, it's because it was like breathing in a sort of a burning sensation with also kind of like the vague ghost of what I had had for dinner that night.
Okay, well, anyway, let's go back to the devil buttholes. Anything but that.
Oh my.
Okay, all right. I can accept that I can at least disguise myself as fun.
I think you should just be honest. Like I think I've told this before. Like my one real experience with any of this kind of online dating stuff. I tried it once. I talked to one person. I was like, "Hey, I'm super boring." She was like, "That's cool." And then we dated for like 8 months, and we mostly like played video games and had sex. Like, it's like you could find if you just be honest about your needs.
No, that's the plan. I can't understand these people who seem to think that they need to lie about themselves in order to attract a mate that then they are going to completely not mesh with properly, because it's like, yeah, remember what I told you that I was really active? I lie.
I'm actually Jabba the Hutt. Just straight up.
I want somebody that's going to complement my life. I want somebody that when I say, ooh, the new season of Orange is the New Black is on, is going to go, let's get the weighted blanket and eat nachos.
I hate that sitcom trope where someone has a crush on someone else, and so when the person they have a crush on says they like something, they lie about it, and then they're like hooked into it, and then they have to like construct a more elaborate kind of like mythology to keep up the ruse.
People do, man.
I know, it's psychotic. It's absolutely unsustainable.
There was this really great episode of a show. I don't think I talked about it on WordFunk here, called Easy. It's on Netflix. Mm-hmm. It's written and directed by this one person who, like, I'm absolutely gobsmacked that they can write all these different plots, but it's basically just about all these weird trappings of relationships, and it's really intersectional. It's really inclusive. It's multiracial. It's orientation based. And there was this great episode in the first season about these two girls that meet at a rock show, and they go home together, and like the next morning one of them is like, oh shit, I need breakfast like so bad right now, I just want I need food, and the other woman is like, yeah, that sounds like fucking fantastic, let's go get breakfast together. And the first woman's like, yeah, okay, that's great, because I need bacon and eggs like so hard. And then the other girl goes, yeah, I mean, but I'm like vegan, so could we go somewhere that I could eat? And the first girl goes, yeah, I mean, I'm vegan too, but I only just started, so I still have, I talk about bacon and eggs and things, and the whole fucking episode is just about this woman trying to chase the other woman's identity to try and force this kind of compatibility. It's a really it's an awkward and endearing show. One of probably two shows about relationships on Netflix that I can actually get behind and recommend. The other one is one called Lovesick, which is an English comedy about a guy who gets diagnosed with chlamydia and then has to contact a bunch of past lovers. And the show is really genial. It's actually really endearing because it bumps back and forth. Each episode kind of addresses his relationship or with this, one particular character. And it bumps back and forth from when they first met, kind of slash hooked up, to where they are in this day and age as friends. And it's just this, I really like Lovesick. I mention it because the new season, I think season 3, just came out last week, and I tore through that. I've
heard that's good, but it came out with a different name, which put me off it forever. It's inescapable.
Yes, Scrotal Recall.
Yes, I've seen that. No, I know what you're talking about. It just occurred to me.
Yes.
I saw that, and it was pretty good.
I really like it, and they just put a new season out. They just put a new season out on Netflix. So yeah.
Oh, there's a new season of it?
Yeah. I thought it was done because it was a Channel 4 show in the UK, and then Netflix picked it up, and it seemed like it ended at a point where I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's it. But yeah, they new season just last week or something like that. But yeah, Lovesick. It's a great show. It's very charming.
I see it now. I see it now on Netflix, but it's listed as Lovesick, and I didn't realize that was the same show.
Yes.
Okay. Neat.
But yeah, so it does. It seems getting back to the original point. It does seem weird to try and create this fake persona to try and increase your chances of matching. But I like Austin, we live in a culture that has kind of convinced people that that's the norm. That you have to pretend that you're into sports. Because that's what people do. Sports!
First of all, don't ever do that. Second of all,
don't do what? Don't do sports!
No, any of it. Don't say sports like that, and also never pretend to like sports. What kind of person would love Johnny Maloney, but only if you liked sports? That is bonkers. Can you even conceive of such a person?
Say it exactly like that.
No, it actually kind of really upsets me that that's a thing. It drives me up a wall. I can't even watch shows that use that plot device most of the time. It's an actual. I probably shouldn't be that sensitive, but it does really make me mad because it's just so bad. It's terrible. Don't do that, please. If you take anything from this show, don't do that.
Sports.
Well, also that I do like sports. Wait. Johnny,
I just want to make it absolutely clear that while I'm saying that, I am raising my hand high in the air.
Yeah, thanks.
with a pointed index finger, except the index finger is kind of just a little bit off angle from the arm.
Have you ever met somebody who was like, I really want to get into this relationship, but they don't like sports? Is that real?
Oh, I'll just be honest here. Not this. Obviously, it's not part of my life, but I've seen that in the profiles that I mentioned. So that is apparently a thing. Like, you must love sports. You must be a Bleu fan, and so forth. That is apparently part of people's identity, and it is necessary in a mate. And again, it's like, yeah.
I mean, I get it if you're fucking Tom Brady or something. It would be weird to date someone who doesn't like football, maybe. But for the normal person, is it really just on Sundays? You just take a couple hours for yourself? It's
Austin. I think part of it is that people don't really know what makes for a healthy relationship. So they make the assumption that a healthy relationship must be people who like to do things together. And if you watch sports together, and you drink on patios together, and go on adventures together, that makes for a healthy relationship. Which is on the outside, it's like, wow, they're always together, and they're always doing things. How do you guys do it? Well, it's easy. We just kind of ignore each other and focus our minds on whatever it is that we're doing at the same time, because we both like it.
Listen,
my.
It's important to have shared interests, right? Some.
Some.
Here's the thing. I know people who I share interests with. For example, gamers. I hate most of them. What are you talking about?
I think we can all cop to that.
I think it's more important to share values than share interests.
Yes.
If I met someone who just did not like movies, that would be fine. I like going to the movies by myself anyway. We're good. But if I met someone who was a fascist, I would be like, that's not okay. We're probably not going to work out, even if you like exactly the same movies that I do. So one is more important than the other, I guess.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe this is the episode we get through without politics, and I'm like, there was a devil on one shoulder, angel on the other. Do I want to launch into this?
Austin, I think it's pretty softball for us to say, don't date a fascist.
Yeah, don't.
Do your best,
don't
at
ever.
least.
Yeah, I mean, if you accidentally date a fascist, I'm not going to judge you.
Or
but
you
if
can
you
date someone who turns into a fascist, but then dump that shit, boyfriend.
But if you're actively dating someone and you know that they are a fascist, what are you even doing? Sorry, I'm going to get real judgy.
Let me just write Lacey Green a quick email.
Oh my God. You stop. All right. So
I don't know what just happened.
It's fine.
YouTube drama, Austin.
Okay.
YouTube drama.
You don't even have to worry about it.
Thanks for the permission.
I got one more thing, unless Leon, were you raring to go?
No, you go right ahead.
Because I just got a quick thing, is that I'm on the Bob's Burger train now.
Oh, good.
I got into season 3, and there were a couple of episodes that just fucking slapped me right in the tickle zone. Yeah. And the Jaws parody they did. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
And also an episode where Gene yells Desert Storm, which was just phenomenal. Which makes no sense, and I'm not going to explain the scene here, so...
That's fine.
But it made me laugh.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it. Thanks for your passive recommendations.
Yeah. On Thanksgiving, me and my friend hung out, and while we were making dinner, we just had all the Bob's Burger Thanksgiving episodes playing in the background. Mm-hmm. There's like one. I mean, spoiler. There's one like every season. It's a thing. So get ready for that. Yeah. Anything you guys need to say right before we go into questions?
I have law stuff.
Oh no! Hit us with
Austin,
law.
You should have said something.
Yeah. I actually have a ton. I think this semester is going to be really fun. Interestingly, 3 of my 4 classes I'm taking this semester started on Fourth Amendment stuff. So I've read the same cases multiple times for doing classes, so I'm going to know them very well. This is kind of a classic law corner. I'm going to give you guys like some facts and stuff. Are you excited for that?
Uh-oh.
All right, let's do this.
I love facts.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've worked my law.
Yeah, work that law. Let's start. Yeah, we're going to do some Fourth Amendment stuff because that's where I'm at in several of my classes. I'm taking constitutional law. That's just where we're starting.
What is the Fourth Amendment? Remind me.
The Fourth Amendment is that you have you have a right not to be unreasonably searched and have your stuff seized. I don't have the text in front of me. Search and seizure.
Okay, this is going to be good. Continue.
Yeah. Also, it's one that requires you get a warrant basically, and it was later. The Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. All that stuff was added later.
Right. Which people falsely believe has to be read to you when you are arrested. Not so. Only during interrogation.
Yeah, I mean that was literally from a case about I think it was in Arizona by someone named Miranda where they argued they didn't know their rights, and so they do that to you as a precaution. It's not constitutionally required. It's just something that to avoid ever having that kind of lawsuit again.
Yeah. Apparently the worst thing that can happen is then your interrogation, your testimony is inadmissible as evidence or something like that. So
yeah, it's excluded on constitutional grounds. So here's the thing. I'll just say the facts of the first case. This is Katz v. United States. So Katz.
Are we talking like, and they all say, oh, never did you ever?
Yeah, they got Mr. Mistopheles. It was a bloodbath.
He's a tricky motherfucker. Let's see if he got away with it.
So I'm just going to read the Fourth Amendment. It's one sentence.
I'm sorry. That was just a perfect opportunity to make a in AD 2101 war was beginning joke. Never mind.
You did it.
Cats.
The text of the Fourth Amendment is the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, paper, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause. Blah blah blah. Right. So that's where we get probable cause language, search and seizure, warrants. So Katz. The case was this guy who was illegally gambling, and he would send his bets in over the phone. So he'd call people and come on, Johnny, put $10 on the good horse or whatever. It was old times. So this is 1930s. That's how they all talked. And
because in the 1930s as well, they only had 2 horses per horse race.
Good horse and bad horse.
They were always named the good horse and the other horse.
Yep.
It's surprising that they didn't all win.
Well, sometimes the other horse was the better horse is the thing. Oh. So
okay,
yeah,
maybe. If the other horse beat the good horse, then obviously the other horse cheated.
First of all, I'm an idiot. There's a different case, Olmsted. That was the 30s. Katz is 60s, so a little bit later, and that is important, as you'll find out in a second. So he was calling people on the phone and being like, "All right, so I'm placing this bet," and so the police, he was doing this by a payphone, right? Like telephone booths. Maybe you're too young to know, but there used to be these booths outside made of glass, and there was a phone inside, and he would go inside and make calls on them, right?
So this was like Poker Stars meets DoorDash, then.
None of those words meant anything to me.
What? I understood what was going on through payphone because that is the thing I've used, and then Johnny said a bunch of words that I didn't know.
He was using his phone to place mobile bets.
Poker
Stars and DoorDash.
All right, I apologize. I genuinely didn't know what you said. It just sounded like you were having a stroke.
I am having a stroke, Leon, but I think I'm taking it very well. So continue.
Great. All right.
All right. So simple facts. This guy, he goes to phone booths and he places bets. That's illegal. The police do not have a warrant to
quick
search
question: is it illegal that he's making bets, or is it illegal that he's doing it over the phone?
Both.
Well, I mean, if the first was illegal, then the second most definitely would be. I was just because the first one might not be illegal. It's just you might have to like present ID and be present and like photographed and have a monkey with you and.
It's that little known monkey clause.
Give a man an onion
Amendment.
and then have a small romantic tryst with a fax machine.
Okay, so the story is really simple. FBI puts a listening device on the outside of the booth. I don't know how that works in the 60s, like a big microphone, and they put like a sock puppet over it so no one would notice.
Yeah, huge satellite dish.
And they went across the street into their white van and listened.
In a white van that says definitely not the feds.
Yep, and they recorded that illegal conversation, and then they arrested him, and he was convicted of doing these illegal gambling wagers.
Right.
And so he said his Fourth Amendment rights were violated because that was an unreasonable search and seizure of his conversation.
Nah, don't buy it. Public space.
Well, once again, let me read the text of the Fourth Amendment. People have the right to be secure in, quote, their persons, houses, papers, and effects.
Yeah. It's still. They didn't plant a listening device upon him.
Mm-hmm.
They planted a listening device in a public space.
Mm-hmm.
And he just happened to frequent it by his own free will.
I mean, they put it there in anticipation of him.
Yes, I mean, but I mean, it could be argued that we didn't know what we were gonna get. Maybe just a drunk guy singing Delilah really loudly.
Yeah, this is important. I mean, even the joking stuff Johnny just said is actually important.
His effects. I mean, that's his stuff, but that's not.
Yeah, they're not rifling through his possessions.
Right, they're rifling through his words, which are intangible. So
maybe be more fair if I gave you guys the 30s case, because there is another one, but that one's not good law anymore, which is why I didn't say it. In this 30s case, somebody was doing illegal phone stuff, and they wiretapped the telephone wires on the street, which were like very far away from him, and that was found not to be a violation of the Fourth Amendment because they didn't do anything to his person's house, papers, or effects. They just messed with the telephone pole.
That is what I'm trying to imply here. Is that
yeah. You're 100% right on the 30s case, which is called Olmsted. This is Cat Slater.
Yeah. Well, it would occur to me that, I mean, if the American justice system works the way that I think it does, that Olmsted would justify the same behaviors in the 60s. Like, you'd be able to use that as a precedent.
No, come on.
That is theoretically how the system is supposed to work, yes.
I think he gets fucked. I think he loses. That's what
all right. So you guys both say his Fourth Amendment rights were not violated by the phone booth thing?
Yeah,
it's a thinker.
Look,
there's a lot of stuff going on here.
If the Patriot Act has taught me anything.
Oh God, that's much later.
Famous 1960s statute, the Patriot Act.
I'm just saying if its passage and retention as law has taught me anything, is that government loves to listen in and they will find any goddamn way that they can to be like, no, that's above board.
Everything you're saying is brilliant, and definitely hold on to that because there's more cases. So I'm gonna get to the end of Cats. You guys are both very much wrong.
Ooh.
Okay.
This was found to be an unreasonable search and seizure, and Cats actually expanded the scope of Fourth Amendment protections, and there's actually a specific formulation used, not in the opinion, but not the majority opinion, but the concurrence, which is reasonable expectation of privacy is the new test.
Okay.
Because they were specifically going after him in a public place.
Well, it was actually it's your subjective expectation of privacy during the context, right?
Yeah.
When you go into a phone booth, you have no reason to believe anyone is listening.
Right.
So it doesn't. So what Johnny said about like, oh, they just put it on there and they just happened to catch him. It's specifically so that the cops can't say that. You need to get a warrant and you need to tell the judge what you're after and how you're going to get it.
Right.
The system doesn't work if they can just put microphones everywhere and then just like, oops, we accidentally caught you.
Yeah.
Like you have, especially in places where you have, as the court said, a reasonable expectation of privacy.
I've seen The Wire 2 1/3 times.
Yeah. So in addition to homes, papers, effects, and persons in the Fourth Amendment, now you have an additional thing, which is places where you expect not to be overheard.
Right.
It's a thing that Cats adds. So flashing forward now, we're going to go a little faster on these cases. There's like 2 more. Now we're in the modern day, because Scalia up in this bitch. You know how he do. Mm-hmm. So this is United States versus Jones. This is, you can tell what era this is in because what's happening is there's a guy who the FBI thinks is dealing drugs, so they put a GPS tracker on the bottom of his car. And then using that data, they figure out all the places he goes to, which are like known drug people. They get a warrant, bust him. He was dealing drugs. He gets arrested and convicted. He challenges it, the gathering of the information that led to the warrant, as unconstitutional search and seizure. Mm-hmm. How does that grab you? And remember, Scalia up in this bitch.
Yeah, but Scalia is, like, I mean, despite the fact that I have opinions, he's a pretty strict constitutionalist.
Absolutely, and his opinion is fucking hilarious. There's some choice fucking shit posting in this court opinion.
I'm gonna just assume that Scalia screwed someone. That's that's not nice. I mean, I'm sure he had.
Think about what Scalia cares about, right? He's a conservative. For listeners who don't know, he's a famous court justice. He died recently. Okay, he's super conservative. Mm-hmm.
What the crime was related to drugs?
Yeah,
drug trafficking.
Yeah. Scalia would, I believe, overlook his constitutional leanings to take the verdict that he would want on that one.
Well, remember, this is Supreme Court, so anything he does is precedent. So think about what interests he wants to protect long term.
Okay.
Law enforcement, man.
The person. Tell me the name. What the name of the person again?
It's just Jones. Where you thought maybe it was gonna be like Spanish sounding, and that would be.
It's actually Austin. It's pronounced Jones.
I was going to say how ethnic is this guy,
Yeah.
But I decided not to. And I'm just
fair,
gonna cut that out. No, I don't know for sure what happened, but I would gather that Scalia would side with evil. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so you think that Scalia doesn't care the police put a GPS in this guy's car?
I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but I'm going to just assume that this didn't go well for Jones. I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes people make the right decision.
All right, so you can probably... Okay, so Scalia's thing in this case is that private property is the most sacred thing about being an American.
Ah, damn it!
And having someone touch your stuff is unfucking conscionable. And so if you want to touch anyone's stuff, you need a warrant. Government. G-men.
I fucking knew it. Damn.
Just coming in and touching my stuff. So what he says, actually, is that this was an unlawful search and seizure, not because of the reasonable expectation of privacy thing. And this is actually a big point that him and the other justices are like sniping at each other in the opinion, because he doesn't even want to do the cat's analysis. Yeah. He just says, don't touch anyone else's car, government. And that's literally like the whole other thing. There's actually... I think the other opinions are longer, but they're like, we have to protect people's freedom and like their whole like privacy and their to be left alone and stuff. And Scalia just cares about the touching of the car. And
so he made the right decision for the wrong reason.
Absolutely. And
gotcha.
The best line in there is where Scalia was like, this isn't all that different than if a constable snuck into the back of someone's carriage during the founder's time and listened to their conversations.
What a shit heel.
And I think it was Alito, or it might have been Sotomayor, was like, that would either have to be a very large carriage or a very small constable. These are the 9 most powerful lawyers in the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen. And that leads to the last case, which I wanted to talk about, which is Florida versus Jardines. So it's a Hispanic person. Obviously, the way this works is police got a tip that someone was growing marijuana. They could not get a warrant on that information, so they took a drug dog onto the person's front porch, and then the drug dog indicated there was drugs inside, and so they used that and went and got a warrant.
Dogs can't be witnesses.
Okay, evidence law is a little bit more complicated than that, but there actually is there are rules for animal testimony.
Okay. Right.
So they went and got a warrant off that, came back, kicked the door in, there was drugs, that guy got arrested. He challenged that the dog unlawfully searched and seized his stuff, but his information to get the warrant.
The police were in the police own the animals, so the police unlawfully searched and seized because they, in the same way that they could if they use a listening device that they own. We can get into a whole animal rights thing later, but as we discussed in a previous episode, animals are property, so they purposely put their property in to search this dude's house.
Well, a little bit additional context was just mentioned in the opinion. This comes right after cases where it was found not to be a violation for for dogs to find evidence like at an airport. There's some other situations too.
That's different. You have a reasonable expectation of. Hold on. It's different because you have a reasonable expectation of a police dog not running up to your front door. But when you're at an airport, you should expect there to be law enforcement there. You expect law enforcement to be in an airport. You don't expect law enforcement to be smelling your door.
The other one was a traffic stop. It was found not to be an unreasonable search and seizure when they had a drug dog at a traffic stop. So okay. I just want to have that context in there.
Okay.
Yeah, Leon does raise an interesting point about being present in a public space as opposed to, because if the dog is property, what the police are essentially doing is bringing a tool.
Yeah.
That is employed for search and seizure, presumably afterwards, to the house. To private property in order to attain probable cause for a warrant.
Yeah. I'm not going to drag this out because you guys are both 100% right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you just nailed it. There is a dissent in this case, which is hey, anyone can just approach your house. There is an implicit invitation to just knocking on people's doors. Mm-hmm. You can just do that, and there's nothing stopping you from walking your dog and seeing a house and walking up and just happening to smell marijuana. And they talk about how you can just look in people's windows. There's all these analogies they make. But once again, Scalia's get off my fucking property. Yeah. I have a shotgun. I swear to God.
Yeah, it is understandable that someone will walk up to your front door and knock, but it is also completely within your right to ask them to leave or get off my grass. So yeah. I feel like it's different.
So yeah, I could go into more detail. There's also
get off my grass. You can't afford it.
There's a ton of nuance I'm leaving out and boring law stuff that's more complicated, but the basic thing we're getting to here is that if it involves police officers touching or stepping on your stuff, the court is totally fine in protecting that. But anything to do with satellites or drones, or there's another case I didn't talk about, Skinner, where they just went to Verizon and was hey, can you just give us all of the guy's data? And A, they did, and B, it was found not to be an unreasonable search and seizure because there was no physical interference, and that's all the court cares about protecting. So yeah, that's I definitely, the vibe of this is the right end for the wrong reasons, but the dark undercurrent, the rest of the glacier that you're not seeing above the water right now, is that most mass surveillance is not people with dogs. Right. Yeah. And that so far has been found to be totally constitutional.
Yeah. It's Johnny with Google Earth VR. I've been in both your backyards.
It sounds more like the law hasn't caught up to technology, really.
Yeah, there's that. But also, thanks to like Snowden and stuff, we were aware that this was going on. But if we weren't, I think I would be on here being like, "Can you imagine what they could be doing?" But we know they're doing it. So.
Thanks, Eddie.
Yeah.
I Snow dog.
Well, I have mixed feelings about Edward Snowden, but we can move on from that.
It's another one of those correct endpoints for wrong reasons, maybe,
So anyway, let's do questions.
Yeah, let's do questions. We got them this week. Here's a good one. Cosmignon asks, have you ever embarrassed yourself in front of a new class, and how do you recover from that? Asking for a friend who is myself.
Wow. Like as a child, I mean, I have like teacher stories. I guess.
Listen, good stories are good stories.
I'm gonna go quickly get myself some water. While I think about this one, I'll be back in a sec.
All right. I early on when I taught in Korea, I stood on a chair. I had to like read something, so I just stood on a chair to get it, and my class freaked out. Because I was wearing shoes. I was wearing shoes on a chair, and they have different expectations about what you should be putting your feet on there. And they were like appalled by this for a while. And I had to explain later that this is like a cultural difference. I didn't mean any disrespect. I just needed to reach something. They got over it. I guess the answer to this question, if you're an adult and they are children, is to just be reasonable with them, and then they'll just get over it. And also, you make their grades, so they have to. But if you're a student and they are all other students, and you make an ass out of yourself, I guess it kind of depends on the situation. If you like say the wrong answer to something and it's like super wrong, then the way you remedy that is to get a bunch of stuff right, so that people think that this was an anomaly. But if you come into class with no pants on, I can't help you.
Did you ever take advantage of the difference in cultural knowledge, where you're just like, no, you don't understand. In America, we just drink beer in the middle of class. It's fine. No. I can put my feet all over this. It's fine. Like just
no. It's if anything, it was like a huge hindrance. Like for example, here's a story, and I'll try to make this one quick because I know this wasn't really the question. A student said asked me to draw the male symbol, and in my head that's that circle with the arrow. Yep. And the female symbol was the circle with the little cross thing at the bottom. So like, oh, okay, sure. And I start drawing a circle on the board, and the co-teacher in the room, who was Korean, she flipped out and she's like, "What are you doing?" She can speak English. She was like, "Don't do that." And I'm like, "What? What's going on?" I would learn later that the translation was a little off. By male symbol, he meant penis. And he thought that I was about to draw balls and a dick on the board. I explained this to the co-teacher later, I think.
Fuck, you should have just went through with that. You would have been so cool. They would have fucking lost their shit.
The weird thing is, like, if they've never seen that symbol before, would they think that that's what American penis is?
This is how they look. This is what our arms look like. Deal with it.
Or they just think I'm a terrible artist. It's a good thing I didn't go through with the entire male symbol, because I got a feeling that no matter how I would explain that, I would not be able to escape being fired, because just the idea that I would draw, I would say, yeah, let's just draw some dicks.
As you're getting dragged out because you're being fired, you should be like, this is an outrage. I can't believe you two bald weirdos.
Oh my.
This one ball master race.
Yeah. Other weird difference was they asked me if I would ever beat them, and I was like surprised. That's actually something that's like being phased out of Korea, and probably by now is like a memory. But teachers occasionally use corporal punishment in the sense that they make them like do a elevated push-up and stay that way for a certain amount of time. I've seen them do that while I was there. They said, "Are you ever going to use physical stuff on us? And I said, no, of course not. And they said, oh, good. I said, I'll just give you more work to do as punishment. And they were appalled. They would much rather I spank them or something than give them more work because they're already very overworked. So anyway, I'm deviating way off the topic. I'm sorry. Stories from you guys about embarrassing yourselves in class.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have one. I don't know, it was like first grade, kindergarten, second grade. I definitely called the teacher mom at one point.
Oh, that's adorable, though.
I tried to play it off, I tried to like garble it into a sentence, be like,
Oh,
"Mom,
no.
I miss my mom," or something. And Cosmo, if you're wondering if the embarrassment ever goes away, I'm 27 now, so it's not looking good because I'm still super duper embarrassed, and it's been like 20 years.
Did they call you Mama's boy?
No, you know what? I don't think anyone noticed, or if they did, they didn't care. It's been 100% self-inflicted embarrassment.
That's the worst kind.
And I remember it so vividly, and no one else cared at all.
Oh my. Johnny, do you have any stories or advice about embarrassing yourself?
All I can say is that, I went to theater school. Routinely embarrassing yourself in front of an entire class of people is a part of that. And as far as dealing with it goes, I am very much of the school of thought that it's like, if you find yourself in public naked, don't run anywhere. Just walk and act like you're supposed to be there.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh, it's supposed to be performance art."
It's just like, "What's up?" So and it's like, and even if like you are super like embarrassed, and it's kind of clear that you were super embarrassed at the time, all you have to do is make sure the next time anything like that happens, just own it. Just make it a part of your identity, and just be like, "Yo, this is me. If you can't handle it, get the fuck out."
Yeah, I mean, that definitely works too, because I know I had done that before, but I can't remember any of them because that embarrassment just washes away.
This is the thing, is it like, you have to realize, Austin, like your experience about calling the teacher mom, is that that's something that you fucking hold on to, and nobody else will.
Yep, absolutely.
Nobody else.
So this is an easy, fast question. Bright Porg, I think it's Bright Marsh with a fun Star Wars name. What movies are you looking forward to in 2018? Everyone I know already has Black Panther tickets.
Oh shit, yeah, Black Panther's gonna be my jam.
Definitely.
I'm definitely going to see a bunch of the big blockbuster movies, because that is definitely just the thing I got to do. Anything specific that I actually really, really want to see?
Bright 2.
That'll take years, hopefully.
I just heard, apparently, I thought that movie was named after Will Smith's character. Like, he was like Detective Bright, Officer Bright. Apparently, it's an in-universe terminology for people who can use magic wands, which introduces an entire other element to its racial politics. Because in the in-universe, there are some people who are just genetically, predisposed to be special and better.
They are the specials. And I'm not talking about the awesome ska band.
Yeah. And
that's extremely troubling with all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, and especially considering that the term means you're lighter than others.
Yo! What is happening in that movie?
I don't know. Okay, hold on. I can figure out what I want to see next year just by clicking on my letterbox.
I want to give a quick shout out to Josephina Vineyard for that Photoshop she did of the Bright movie poster that said "Not all cops" on it.
Oh, it was so good.
Meanwhile, while you're looking at that up, Leon, here's one for Johnny too. Toshiro Kuru, our question guru, wants to know wanting anything new to drop from your favorite artists, which I think is a 2018 music equivalent of this question for Leon. Yeah.
I 2017 was a pretty banner year for me, to tell you the truth. Like, I got new records from fucking Moonface. I got new records from the Magnetic Fields, LCD Sound System, a devastating record from Mount Erie, Wolf Parade, Mogwai. I know that Sun Lux has got a new one that's coming out in 2018. That should be good. But wait, did I get a new Moonface record? No, I guess I don't think I did. No, just the Wolf Parade. I don't know. I'm always happy to hear more Spencer Krug. So more Moonface or Sunset Rubdown or something like that. I think Ockerville River's working on a new album. I know that Jonathan Myberg from Shearwater has a new musical project that's coming out. I wanna jam on that. I can't remember what it's called right now though. I want to hear new stuff from Haley Bonar. I don't know if she's still recording under that name or if she's recording under Haley McCallum now. I want to hear an LP from Dante DeCaro, who was the one of the, I believe, the guitarist for Wolf Parade, used to play in Hot Hot Heat. I want a new Sufjan Stevens record because he just released a song about Tonya Harding, which is like, I mean, I didn't think I would ever say those words together.
It's been a surreal couple of years, huh?
But
a lot of weird stuff.
It's a really, really touching song. If you go to his Bandcamp, you can hear two versions of it. And it's like, the whole Nancy Kerrigan, Tonya Harding thing happened when I was quite young, so I have a really sort of definitely influenced by mass media view of it. But it's a song about like his genuine respect for this woman. And he on his Bandcamp page, he writes a good long piece about his respect and kind of like hero worship for this woman, and it's a really touching song. So I would love to get a new LP from him. Those are the ones that are. Oh no, you know what? I want to hear that second Modest Mouse record, man. Because you remember when Strangers to Ourselves came out, Austin? Isaac Brock was all like, oh, you wouldn't believe the crazy shit that I've got, and I want to put it together and release it in an album as soon as I possibly can. And that was like 2 years ago or something like that.
Like No One's First But You're Next came out right after We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank.
Yeah.
It was a wall bangers as B-sides.
I know. I want to hear that second album that he has like sitting in a like sticky drawer that smells like molasses and cayenne pepper or something like that. I just some of my favorites. I'm always happy to hear more from the team that made Devix, which is Sarah Love and Dustin O'Halloran, who both writes music on his own, composes for films, and works with a unit with Adam Wiltsey now called Winged Victory for the Sullen, which is as melodramatic as it sounds. I still haven't heard the new St. Vincent record. I should really remedy that.
I listened to the singles off it. They're pretty catchy. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I don't have like strong feelings about it, but they're solid. It seems like.
And I have this vague recollection because I've been listening to a lot of Spoon lately too. Actually, I have this vague recollection that maybe I missed a Spoon album. But if not, I would like a new one from them. Because I think the last one I had is They Want My Soul, I think it's called, or something like that. Yeah, whatever. And of course, I want a new record from David Bowie. Because, I don't know, doesn't seem to me like death would be something that would stop him.
They're still releasing Michael Jackson stuff.
Yeah, there's always like unreleased stuff. I don't know that for sure. I don't have any like deep knowledge into David Bowie, but that always seems to be the case. Going back to, I'll do my thing real quick. I want to see Annihilation, which is Alex Garland's new film after Ex Machina.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to see that. There's tons of movies that I definitely want to see, but that's one that besides all the like obvious blockbusters that I'm gonna be seeing, and that's something that comes to mind. All right. Okay, I wasn't sure if there was more. Let's try to do a couple ones as fast as we can as we go out the door. Have we done this before? Jessica Sims asked best and worst Disney villains. Do you have any strong? I know we did princesses, maybe princes.
Jafar's pretty good.
Yeah, I really like Jafar. I like Ursula, mostly for the song.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of depth into Ursula. We don't know why she does the things that she does. I think there's supposed to be backstory, but it got cut. Jafar just obviously wants an incredible amount of power, and that turns him on or something.
Okay.
I guess that's his whole thing. Yeah. I kind of like. Oh, now I feel dumb because I can't remember her name. The mother from Tangled. I think that's it's a creepy kind of villain because she is accepted by Rapunzel like early on. They're not like mortal enemies right from the start. They have a close relationship, and it just changes when she realizes things about her. And there's something like, if you've ever trusted someone and they've ever fucked with you or betrayed you or something like that, it feels real is what I'm trying to say. There's a kind of realness to it, in the same way that Gaston is beloved by town, and that's the most sinister thing about him. That
I thought you were going to say Frollo, because that's
ditto with Frollo. They're not these outsiders who live in a cave and like twirl their mustaches. They're very much part of the community, and it's hard to go up against them because you can't rally the crowd, because the crowd is definitely on their side.
Ooh, John Smith from Pocahontas.
Okay. That's an extremely good joke.
It really is. Okay.
I don't know if
I really liked that guy. He really baited me into being like, oh wow.
If you don't know the real story, maybe a Google would be helpful in that one. I think Scar is probably my favorite. Jeremy Irons' performance is iconic. I listen to Be Prepared on a pretty regular basis. That's not a joke.
That's fine.
Also, it helps that Claudius, the character he's based on, is just already firmly in my mind. So there's a lot. It feels like maybe there's more depth than there actually is intended, but I think that's my answer. There's a lot. We're basically out of time, but let's see.
I can take a couple more minutes. I mean, I talked a lot this episode. I don't know how busy you guys are, but I
can go a few more minutes.
My pork tenderloin is simmering in the fucking immersion circulator, and I got dinner all planned out. I'm good to go.
All right. And speaking of that, there's a Johnny question.
I just want to say real quick. Kung Fury 2 comes out this year, so get ready for that.
Johnny. Gray Rick on Twitter wants to know, has Johnny ever made his own hot sauce, and what are his thoughts on homemade hot sauce? Do you have hot sauce opinions?
I love hot sauce. I have never had the courage to make my own. I've made my own chili oil. I've made my own garlic chili oil, which turned out pretty well. Not as well as I had hoped, so I need to revise that recipe, go back to it. But I have always kind of wanted to try my hand at making my own hot sauce, because it seems like the perfect intersection of my love for vinegar and my love for extremely spicy things.
You put that on your dating profile. Must love vinegar. It's very important to me.
Yeah. Well, that's just the first thing I ask when we meet in person. So when I took that one lady off to get double waffles, I was like, "Would you like some vinegar in that?" She was like, "Are you crazy?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, this is just not going to work out." And then I drank my cup of vinegar that I brought from home with no lid and left.
Leon, tell me if this question makes sense, because I'm reading it and it sounds like a hard question, but I don't know for sure. Alejandro Colon asks, what's Leon's favorite Royal Rumble PPV, pay-per-view, I assume, and match, parentheses, wrestling?
I love the Royal Rumble. I'm not good at remembering the year, this in the 2002 Royal Rumble. This was the match order of the 30 participants. I can't. I'm not good at remembering that.
Yeah, from a layman's perspective, it seemed like a really hard question.
It is. I did like. I'll just mention moments I liked. And I'm sorry to like, but I can't remember the years of these things very well. When Cena did his surprise return, that was like a really huge moment because basically he got injured legitimately shortly before the Royal Rumble, and he was expected to be out for months. But Cena has superhuman Wolverine healing factor, and he was cleared to wrestle way earlier than expected. And no one was expecting him to be there. So when his music hit, everyone lost their shit. Even the people who hate Cena were like, what? This is impossible. So that was a cool moment. Let's see. What was good? I like surprise entrance. That's always fun. When people who are not normally on the roster are just brought in, like someone who hasn't been like in the company for a few years, or someone who's debuting in the company, like AJ Styles did a couple years ago. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm into. I'm sorry to like subvert your question to something else entirely. I'm just not good at remembering like specific years and like who won this year and whatnot. Yeah. The ending of a Royal... I can't remember which year it was. The ending of a Royal Rumble where it was basically The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels being the last two, and they had basically almost a full match together against each other towards the end was amazing. I remember that being good. So whatever that was is my favorite, if I could possibly remember it.
Okay, quick one. Matthew B. Hare asks, how do I convince my friends to get back into Magic the Gathering? That is very difficult. Magic the Gathering is an impenetrable game made by crazy people. If they already know the rules, they'll come back eventually.
Austin.
Yeah.
Rohypnol.
Yeah. Jesus.
Oh my god. You're going to have to pay for their decks because it sounds like prohibitively expensive.
It depends on the format. There's a format called Pauper, which is only worthless cards, basically. So you can play Magic for basically free.
I love that it's called that.
Yeah, it's very good.
Oh my.
The thing is, the biggest barrier to entry is just learning all the rules and getting caught up in stuff. I actually recommend Hearthstone if you want to get people into card games who have never played before. It's much more accessible. It's a very well-made video game, and it has a great tutorial. And then try to like upsell them into Magic, like gateway drug, hard drugs, basically. But you said in the question, back into Magic the Gathering, which means they already were in a little bit.
Yeah, that's hard.
There's a saying in the Magic community, which is no one ever quits. They just take breaks. And for me, that was like 15 years. But it apparently is true because I'm back, baby. So
I don't know, Austin. I've known some people to get like burned really, really hard by rule changes and like card adjustments and things like that are just like, nah, fuck it. I'm done. Because they spend so much money building decks, right?
Yep.
And then something changes, and all of a sudden it's like, too bad.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about that more someday because there's some really interesting stuff to talk about there. Maybe on my other podcast because there is a card game component. So please listen to Dice Funk. It's super good this season. You should. Johnny's on it. His role has totally overshadowed all the stuff I've done. All anyone can talk about is how great Johnny is. It's great.
Oh, God.
Everyone loves him. We're basically out of time. Real quick,
everybody must be shy because I've only had 5 people be like, "Oh, hey, you were on Dice Funk."
Oh man, 5 is the tip of the iceberg because that's like on Twitter. You've seen the Discord? That's where the fandom is now. Everyone's on the Discord. Quick one. Molly McDade asks, "What do you think of His Dark Materials?" Have I ever talked about this before? Golden Compass fucking rules.
Yeah.
It owns hard.
You have.
Okay. Do you guys have opinions?
I haven't read them now.
Oh, okay. It's good. It's basically Gnosticism as young adult literature. God is evil, and there's a polar bear who wears armor. It's just like I named 2 different characters in the last season after characters from the Dark Materials.
Shit.
So I love it a lot. So yeah, I think we're out of time. Johnny, you got food stuff to do?
No, this is the great thing about the immersion circulator is that it's just hovering right now at a rare temperature. And then later I'm going to, I think, maybe double bake some red potatoes. And I'm going to try my hand tonight at a kale Caesar salad.
Okay.
Because I have some stale sourdough bread that I think I'm going to cut up and then spray with herb oil and then oven bake to make my own croutons. And I was like, what am I going to do with my own croutons? I have kale. Let's try Caesar salad.
I feel like Herb Oil is like the name I would use if I went undercover. Yes, I'm Herb Oil. Wait, one more before we cut.
But you realize that people would be like, Herb Boyle?
Yeah, that's what I said. Marlene April Ellis asks, have you ever thought something was empty or shallow, but then you got into it and found out there was more to it? I wanted to ask this because I had an answer immediately, which is Hunger Games, which I thought was a total Battle Royale ripoff. And then I actually watched the films, and they're not perfect, but there's actually a lot going on there with like class consciousness stuff that I was super psyched to see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Which is incredibly influenced by Devilman, including one entire scene, which Neon Genesis just stole.
And that's fine. It just, when I first started watching it, I was like, oh, it's another one of these big fighty robot monster. And then it was something else. I'm not making a comment about the quality of it, or how I feel about it as an adult versus when I first saw it when I was younger. Yeah. But it definitely, when I first was confronted with it, I was like, look, the robots are going to fight. And then at the end, I was like, who am I?
I thought that the new Power Rangers movie was going to be just a dumb martial arts film, and like I was just going to dunk on it. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like the cast is really diverse, like ethnically and in terms of their sexualities, and one of them is on the spectrum, and it's like, oh, this is like surprisingly like good in that regards for what is basically a superhero movie. Like there aren't this. I mean, in like regular superhero movies, like in Marvel and DC, the super groups aren't this diverse and there isn't this much representation. And I mean, it's getting better, but like when I was watching, like, wow, is the new Power Rangers movie better than the Avengers? Like, why is that? Is that a thing?
Wait, at least Power Rangers was woke? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, the new Power Rangers movie, they fixed some of the issues from before, where like the Black Ranger was black. That's the big joke. Everyone's, the Blue Ranger is black, and he's also autistic. And the Yellow Ranger is Hispanic, and she is also gay. And the Black Ranger is Asian this time. Basically, they have a diverse cast of characters in like every possible way you can imagine it, and I just really like that. I thought it was really inclusive. I thought that was really neat, and it's not something that most superhero movies do. I mean, they've course corrected a bit. Black Panther is coming out soon, so that's neat in that one way. But yeah, I was really pleased with that. I didn't really know that was going to be a thing going in, and then I watched it and I was like, you know what? Thumbs up. That this was cool. And it's not just that the movie like ticked a bunch of boxes. Mm-hmm. It was also that they felt like I believed that in the characters, like they played off each other well. I thought they had good chemistry. I cared about what happened to them. Yes, there's a bunch of goofy stuff too, and yes, there's Krispy Kreme. But mostly, I really liked that movie. I thought it was conscientious, but it was also kind of good. So. Yeah, that took me by surprise. Apparently, they're still trying to greenlight a sequel, even though the first one didn't exactly make all the money. But we'll see.
Nice, you sold me. I just checked if it's on Netflix. It's not.
Oh, well.
Dang, I was all excited to watch it.
Yeah.
All right, good show. Everyone put it in 110%. Good hustle out there. Butt pats. Let's log it off this field.
Yep. Anything you guys want to say right before we go?
Hey, Leon.
Yo.
Hey, Leon. Hey.
Yes.
Hey, guess what?
What's up?
Guess where I hung out this week?
I don't know. Where?
In Deckard's apartment. In VR.
You dick. Like... See, you are fun, Johnny. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, you see that? I just posted that link. Yeah.
Okay.
I just hung out there. I sat down and I was like, I bet Leon wishes he was here.
Yeah, a little. I mean, I wouldn't buy VR tech just to do it.
No.
But if someone handed it to me and said, "Hey, you want to sit in Decker's apartment?" I'd be like, "Yeah, that sounds like something."
Is this licensed? Is this official?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It's free though, so
also
he seems to have gotten away with it.
9732 is this like thousands of years after the apocalypse?
No, that's his apartment number.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't remember that was his apartment number. I thought that was like Blade Runner 2049. This is Blade Runner 9732.
No.
How do you not know Deckard's apartment number, you fake-ass nerd?
Yeah. Jeez, Leon. Go back to the gym, beefcake.
Get your handsome tits out of here.